Hey everybody, it's Glenn, back in this video with Action Figure Evolution, the series where I trace through the years the various action figure incarnations of one particular character. This time it's the turn of Marvel's Merc with the Mouth, Deadpool. Let's kick off by rewinding 24 years back to 1992. And here's the very first Deadpool action figure released as part of the X-Men X-Force toy line. Back in 1992, Deadpool had only made his first appearance in the comics the year prior with New Mutants number 98, a title that got rebranded with issue 100 becoming X-Force, in which Deadpool became a recurring character. But really in 1992 yet to become the wisecracking, fourth wall breaking character we love today. In fact, by the time of Deadpool's inclusion in the line, he had yet to rack up comic appearances in the double digits. So it had less to do with the popularity of the character and more to do with the popularity of the X-Men themselves at that time, a peak which saw X-Men comics literally selling in the millions and popularized beyond the comic page by a long-running cartoon series and this toy line. Such was the popularity that back then just appearing in an X-Men comic pretty much got you an action figure, no matter how brief or unforgettable the appearance. Just take Kylan for example, remember him? No, me either. So Deadpool's popularity did grow, yet in 1992 it was the strength of the X-Men that got Deadpool his very first action figure. A strange twist of fate considering the Deadpool movie's opening weekend outgrossed any X-Men movie before it. But just don't hold your breath for a Kylan movie. It was love him or hate him Rob Liefeld who came up with the character's visual design. Liefeld has publicly stated he has always loved the simplicity of Spider-Man's character design, and looking at the action figure I certainly see that influence here. Deadpool was originally a parody of DC Comics' Deathstroke, with Deadpool's real name of Wade Wilson and in-jokes suggesting being related to Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. And with the name Deadpool likely inspired by the 1988 Dirty Harry movie of the same name. With Deadpool here, I guess it's a case of why mess with a winning formula, as from the very get-go we get his signature weapons, his katana blades. It's a pretty cool feature that they can be stored on his back and removed. Admittedly, they are a bit stubby, but complain I should not, as after all this is from the 90s and in that decade he could easily have not come with these and with a gun that shoots water instead. However, the 90s do rear their ugly head in the action feature of his left hand, which does mean he can only hold a katana in his right hand, as his left hand is reserved for the spring out dagger action that the card front trumpeted. But let's not beat around the bush, it's not exactly the most menacing blade, is it? In fact, it's the kind of blade you'd bake into a cake when you want to break somebody out of prison. But nonetheless, let's see just what kind of damage we can do with it, picking by chance whatever action figure I have to hand as our unlucky victim. Oh, what a coincidence! Well, I don't know about you, but that made me feel better. For the next Deadpool, we stick with the X-Men X-Force line, but fast forward to 1995. Side by side with the first one, and a comparison between the two I'll make is one that will tickle the sense of nostalgia of any kid of the 80s, as the first one has the slim proportions of vintage Kenner Star Wars figures, and this second one more akin to the beef of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Yet not only did he come seemingly pumped full of steroids, but they also upped the ante with weapons and play features. Admittedly, the execution of them a bit lacking, but their heart was in the right place. So to go along with his battle-damaged torn costume revealing the character's scarred skin underneath in the sculpt, he also has a removable mask. Now I cut the mask some slack as hard plastic is never going to have the subtle finesse of an actual fabric mask, but still in profile the mask does seem to have a snout, reminiscent of Dogpool, which believe it or not is an actual character from the Deadpool comics that many years later we got a figure of. But let's not jump ahead. For removing the mask I should be queuing up Wham's Careless Whisper, but that would have a record company giant likely drive me off YouTube for copyright infringement. So there, a face only Vanessa could love. And maybe a few more women. Some were shedding a tear behind me at the movie's conclusion. I didn't turn around to see if they were shedding black tears as this Deadpool figure appeared appears to be, and black tears rolling down his testicle-textured cheeks. I did try to find out exactly what issue Deadpool first unmasked and was revealed to be this scarred horror. Alas, I couldn't find that information. If you do know, share that info in the comments below. But I'm fairly certain it hadn't happened yet by the time the first figure was released, so it's cool to see it added to this second one. However, no spring out dagger. Phew. Yeah, of course he comes with his two swords, then in addition to them he has a gun which pegs into the holster on his hip, but with the look of it I don't know if he's planning on shooting someone or shooting a home video. Then he comes with a knife and perhaps should have come with a crystal ball as well, as his right hand is removable. And just as I say that, it's gonna make me break a sweat wrestling it out. Finally there. Yet that disembodied hand isn't left flipping the bird. Then he comes with a second hand just for those who can't get enough of his Freddy Krueger flesh. The following year Deadpool received a 10-inch action figure, and they say bigger is better, yet scale aside, in this instance it's much of the same as his earlier smaller incarnations, so more a case of bigger is just bigger. Now the difference between these two represents a baby step at best, but next up we fast forward nearly a decade to 2004 and the Marvel Legends Series 6 Deadpool. And the distinction here represents a giant leap, so much so that in fact it's hard to imagine this is still Toy Biz who made this trio. Firstly, the upgrade in scale from the 5-inch scale of the previous two to the 6-inch scale of Legends. Then the sculpt and deco certainly represents a bridge between toys for kids to play with and something that an adult collector need not be embarrassed to buy. The increase in artistry concerning action figure sculpting had been a trend seen with McFarlane Toys, for instance, and the best example this Legends Deadpool has to offer concerning the improvement in sculpting is its interchangeable unmasked head. That's not to say I think it's the best sculpt I've ever seen, yet looking at it I get the sense of a sculptor trying to commit a certain expression and convey an emotion with it. Just feels purposeful, whereas the previous Deadpool looks more like your toddler sister or brother has got hold of it and given it a chew. Most revolutionary though was the superposability that Marvel Legends brought. Firstly because for adult collectors the figures they collected had been more figurines, largely static and something to plonk on a display shelf forever fixed in a position. And the posability of action figures in general had been largely unchanged since Star Wars popularized them in the late 1970s with just 5 points of articulation. So in the 15 to 20 years since then, all the first two Deadpool action figures we looked at added were elbow and knee hinges, creeping up to 9 points of articulation. That gives perspective to just how remarkable, for instance, 40 points of articulation that the packaging of the Legends Deadpool trumpeted was. A difference that side by side in comparison plays out like this. In practice, combined with the arsenal of weapons he comes with, that translates to a whole host of posing possibilities. Posed here helped out by the flight display stand he comes with, which can also be inserted into Dupe. Who's Dupe? Well, the likeness to Slimer of the Ghostbusters is unquestionable, yet Dupe is not a ghost, but an alien who appeared in X-Force as that title was rebranded into X-Statix, and has remained on the margins of various X books since. Yet I'm not sure Dupe has had significant interaction with Deadpool, and the pairing is perhaps more tonal, with the two sharing a cult meta presence in the comics. And at this point I'm gonna press pause, and if that's left you longing for more action figure evolution, and then if you haven't already, click this video to delve into Wolverine. Now I have to tell you, I need your support, but don't worry, I'm not going to be asking you to send me money, but the support you can give will answer the question of when part 2 of Deadpool action figure evolution will hit. As my friends, that is truly in your hands. Part 2 will be unlocked when this part hits 1,000 likes, so be sure to give a big thumbs up. Further still, share this video on say Facebook or Twitter to give other people the chance to watch and like it too. And I'm sure you won't let me down. Maximum effort, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.